live. And there's a bit of a change in the schedule tonight. I was going to talk about living abroad in Germany, particularly, for so long that I've started to lose connection with my Britishness and how going home when I do, it's not as frequent as I'd like it to be, but when I do go home, how alien England feels to me despite being born there. That was going to be the topic of conversation tonight, but I'm going to change it. I noticed earlier on Substack, somebody posted a note saying, according to Substack, my article is 100% written or 100% human written. And I thought, it's an interesting thing to say. And I didn't think too much of it. But I've just been looking at Substack now whilst I was getting ready for this live. And I see that there's a new button saying scan for AI. So I scanned my most recent article talking about post-rotten, sorry, and his adventures in Instagram, the world of Instagram. Basically, it was like a role-playing game-esque exploration of social media sites if there are cities in a fantasy world. And it said the article was 100% written by AI. And that's true. I mean, I wouldn't maybe not go as far as 100%, but I was directing AI, ChatGPT. I was dictating to it an idea. So I said, I've got this idea. Wouldn't it be interesting to look at social media sites as cities in a fantasy world? I've kind of been doing that a few times with some articles. And ChatGPT was like, yeah, this is how it could look. And it started to do its very ChatGPT way of writing an idea, and it was using a lot of AI speak, and it was a bit cheesy. It always has that. I mean, in English, we say naff. It's a bit like, all right. So I was going through each section of the article, dictating, reading out what I think it should say. And it was like, that's a great idea. Let me just tighten it up for you. Let me just remove some of the repetition. And he gave me the text. And the whole thing, I mean, it took 2 days to do it. I mean, not 2 days continuously, but like 2 evenings. And I was really enjoying myself. And I was like, okay, what if, no, let's change it. Let's not have a section about rooftops. Let's talk about restaurants and how funny it is that one of the hallmarks of Instagram, at least traditionally, is people would take pictures of food and restaurants. And when I produced the whole article, I read through it a few times and made a few changes, but I was pretty happy with it. I gave it the full direction. I didn't say to it, please write an article that's really fun. Imagine a fantasy world. And then just copied and pasted it into Substack. It was a collaborative effort with AI. And I kind of feel like, I don't know how I feel about Substack being like, yeah, it was completely AI. And I'm like, so what? It's tainted? It's not worth anything? Like, I got an interesting comment. Well, not an interesting, a really nice comment from someone who read it and said, this is really interesting. Like, what a unique way of explaining social media. And I feel a bit like I also lost 2 subscribers, which could be completely coincidental. I mean, maybe they were like, "Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm into this." Or maybe they were dead accounts. I mean, I know there was one account that was following me that when I clicked on their page, it just led to a dead end. It just said, account not. So maybe they're doing a clear up of the account. But I am curious going forward if I produce, oh, no, not I, but if one produce, there's a really interesting subscriber I've got, a mutual subscriber called Cookie, and they're making a movie completely AI. And what I really like about their stance is they're very unapologetic. Yes, I use AI. What's the problem? And I found that very inspiring because I was always, it feels like it's a swear word, like it's a dirty secret, like, oh, I use AI. I know there's more existential issues like theft of art, theft of writing. There's the sustainability angle with data centers and the consumption of water. I'm aware of all that. But I was really finding it so relaxing just to like say to AI, hey, what do you think of this? Like, what if I did this? What if I did that? And then have it say, here's a draft. I'm like, yeah, the draft's okay, but let's change this. Let's change that. Let's not, no, 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 let's not do this. Let's move it into this direction. And then he'd write me another draft. And I'm like, okay, 90% there. And now I'm curious, like, I guess Substack is for writers. I mean, look, I have a subscription on the channel, but I do not think in 100 years anyone would become a paying subscriber on my channel. The reason it's set up like that is apparently you get boosted more if you have a paid account or you have the ability to make money because Substack is a business. It pushes, I don't know if this is true, it's just what I heard. Oh, somebody told me on Substack that if you put your account into subscription or whatever, even if you just have a free option, it pushes you because it wants the accounts that can make money to make money. So I think if you're an author, well, maybe I'm changing my mind now. If you're an author who's doing this to make revenue and people are subscribing to you, but then again, it comes back to the question like, so you've got a handwritten article, right? That isn't that good. And then you've got an AI generated article, which is actually really interesting. Like, which is more valuable? This is a conversation I was having a lot on LinkedIn, and I was starting to get annoyed with people who would say, all my content is generated by me. I don't believe in AI. I don't use AI. People who use AI are idiots. Literally saying that. All my work is written by me. And I just thought to myself, yeah, but it's not very good. Doesn't matter who wrote it, it's just not very good. So it leads me back to this question. I think it's the biggest question that we're dealing with right now, at least in the creative field, is AI bad, lazy, formulaic, or if directed correctly and used as a sparring partner, a very intelligent working student? Can it help you unlock ideas, beliefs, stories? I mean, there's no way I can write 2,000 words. I mean, I can. I mean, gee, I went to college. But, well, I mean, you don't have to necessarily go to college to write 2,000 words, but I mean, I can do it. But it takes me forever, and I'm terrible at spelling. I am so bad at spelling. So I'd have to have it spell checked anyway, and that's AI, essentially. So, yeah, it's just very weird. I just noticed it 5 minutes before I went live. I was like, "Oh, this is what that person was talking about." And my article came back as 100% AI. I'm like, "Okay, okay." I mean, it's true. I'm curious though, because everyone can use AI, right? If you've got a computer and you connect it to the web, you can use AI. Doesn't cost you anything. You can buy pro accounts or you can just use free AI. So everybody in the world who's got a computer and an internet connection can use AI, right? It's leveled the playing field. It's not an exclusive tool. Anyone can use it. But the question is, can everyone use it properly, right? It's the question of 2026. I mean, people were talking a lot about it last year, and I've just been talking about it now. I'm talking about it right now, but I was talking about it earlier on LinkedIn. Like, if you've got good ideas, like if you went into a workplace, right, and it was just me, and I had to write all day, and then they said, you know what, like we've got an assistant, someone who can work with you, right? We've got this person who can help you. And I just read to them, listen, I've got an idea for an article. I want to talk about the dangers of TikTok, right? And I just dictated it to them. And or I wrote a draft and I said, here's my draft. Like an editor for a magazine, they'd be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we let's bring this bit up to the top because it's more interesting. You repeat yourself a lot, so let's use some different words. You can cut 200 words out of this. You start to ramble a bit towards the end, and then it gets published. It's like the ship of Theseus. It's like, well, is is it? Yeah, it's such a. To those that have just joined, I'm rambling on about AI. I've just noticed Substack have now got a feature that you can scan articles for AI, and it'll tell you if it was AI written, AI assisted, or no AI at all. And ironically, they're using AI to test. I mean, the whole thing's a little interesting. Like, so they're using AI to check if it's AI. And then if it is AI, completely AI, which is my articles, hands up, my articles are AI generated. But even that sounds, it makes it sound like I just go up to go to ChatGPT and say, write me 5 articles that I want to schedule for the next 2 weeks. It's not. I'll be on the train on the way home from work, and I'll be like, what if, right, the Substack girl was a character? Like you could make a character in a video game, like the Substack girl. What kind of enemies would they be? And I'm like, that's quite interesting. And I thought, well, and then I'll just go to my phone and I'll be like, idea for an article, Summer of the Substack Girl, the role playing game. And then ChatGPT will be like, yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, he always says everything's a fucking great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea. Let's do it. Here are some notes. And I'm like, okay. So I get home and I sit in front of the computer and I'm like, right, this is how I want it to look like. I want it to be this, that. Let's talk about like problems. And then ChatGPT always comes up with the lamest ideas. It's like, yeah, what about if one of the bad guys would be jealous people? And it's like, yeah, but let's not make it people. Let's make it like a monster, right? And what would be an interesting monster for jealousy? Like maybe like a troll, right? A troll playing on the idea of internet troll, and then make an actual troll, a fantasy troll, and that can be like ChatGPT would never in a million years come up with that idea. It just assists me. So now I don't know where I stand. I Going back to what I was saying at the beginning. I think that if you're charging people, like, but again, like I don't know, like it reminds me a lot like digital art. Like you have people that can draw, like give them a pen and a piece of paper, and they can draw a really cool character. And then about 10, 15 years ago, like digital art was getting really big, and people were using styluses and Photoshop, but they were still producing something that people would pay for. So what is I mean, again, like AI generated text comes in different standards, right? You can get an AI. I mean, I see it all the time on LinkedIn. You'll see somebody who's clearly used AI to make a post, and they've said something like, talk about Google allowing AI search at the top bar. Bang, It's that very AI, short sentences, rule of three. It's not X, it's Y, mic drop moment. Using quietly a lot. It's quietly changing the way we think about things. And I'm like, that's garbage, right? There's nothing in it. There's no message. It's just AI speak. But then some people make some really good points, and they craft it. They say, okay, look, this is, or what I do is I just dictate my idea, just read out what I'm thinking, and then ChatGPT is like, yeah, let me just fix it up a bit. And then I read it, and I'm like, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. I would have typed that out eventually, and then you upload it, and then Substack's like, yeah, that's all. Like, that's completely AI. I mean, it's not judging. It's not. It's not. It's not like. I wonder though. I wonder. I wonder if you have a completely un-AI or like non-AI article, and you have an article that's 100% AI generated. Substack is good. What is it going to like reduce the reach? Because I noticed the article I just wrote isn't performing too good. Now that could be one of 100 things. Maybe it was too conceptual. Maybe it wasn't interesting enough. Maybe I posted it at the wrong time. Maybe 100 reasons why it's not performing as good. Maybe I didn't promote it enough. But I'm wondering now, like with my little conspiracy theory, I wonder if maybe they're not pushing it because it's AI. So I should have put it in the glasses, drinking out of a water bottle, drinking out of a Coke bottle. Where are my manners? So I don't know how I feel about this. LinkedIn started doing it with generated images. It puts a little thing in the corner. So if someone posts a picture that's been generated by AI, it says this is AI. I guess should you confuse it for not being AI? I don't know. I think now people, I don't know. It's an interesting one. It completely derailed my live stream. I wanted to talk about something else, but I just thought, no, this is just like really interesting how this came about right now. Yeah, so there we go. I'm trying to think of a use case for it, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking for myself. I can't comment on other people. I'm just talking purely from my point of view. But if I was on Substack and I read an article and I was like, that was really useful. That's a really interesting point. I never thought of it like that. Well, that was actually quite funny, actually. I really enjoyed that. And then it was AI generated. Would I be like, oh, I don't like it now? Like, and then if somebody said this is completely handwritten, this is completely generated by me, AI has been nowhere near it, I'm a professional writer, whatever, and the article wasn't very good, would I be like, well, at least it was handmade, you know? I think for me, the value is what you take out of it. I don't know why it has to be declared. I think it's to appease the market. I don't think Substack don't care. So do you think Substack are there like, oh, we want to make this a beautiful little community where we have writers and poets and journalists, and we don't want people using AI. No, they want to make money. They don't care. I mean, go on to Facebook. Half of the crap on Facebook is AI. In fact, 90% of it is AI, even the videos, and they're doing numbers. So Facebook's like, yeah, whatever, post whatever makes money, post. So I don't think Substack are doing this out of some like puritanical like way of making this like sitting in a coffee shop and writing and sharing it with your close knit community of friends. And I don't think it's that. I think it's to appease the market. People have probably complained that there's too much AI on Substack. So Substack are like, well, now you can test, now you can check. Now we will tell you if it's AI, and then do with that what you want. I mean, I just for me, it's like whatever you want to do. If you want, if you're talented enough to knock out 2,000 words and it'd be good and engaging, then of course, all respect. But if you're using AI and it's still entertaining and it's still useful, it's still a good article, then I don't see why there has to be any negativity towards what you do. Well, there we go. That was my I normally go to midnight. Oh, wow, it's 6 minutes past midnight. So there we are. So now that it's a brand new day. How about that? It's kind of cool, isn't it? Like when you pass midnight, it's now Thursday. Birth of a new day. What wonders will they be today? Will this be my last day? It's quite dark, isn't it? No, but like what excitement will I find today? What opportunities? What things will I learn? That's why I like doing these at midnight. I like crossing over the midnight because then I'm like, okay, we've gone 2 days. This live stream's technically been 2 days. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me and listening to me go on about the existential fear of AI. Well, it's not for me. I'm a big champion of it, but yeah. Well, let's call it a day. All right. Thanks for joining. Speak to you all soon.